What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 1%er podcast. We have an awesome episode for you guys today with John Marrone. Now, John has an incredible story. He's overcome drug addiction. He's overcome homelessness. He's been in jail. He's been depressed. He's been so many things, but he didn't let these setbacks end him. Instead, they empowered him to create an amazing business, an amazing life for himself, guys. So if you feel like you're down and out, if you feel like you have so many setbacks and so many obstacles to overcome, let John's story inspire you and let it motivate you to do the same for your own life. And maybe you're not going through this, but you know someone who is, and they need to hear this, guys. Please send it to them, just share it with them, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
So John, you have a fascinating story, like crazy story, from dealing drugs to doing drugs to, your parents, being on drugs, from, parents being on a hotel, being homeless. I mean, crazy. I'm just going to let you take us on a quick little journey of your childhood. I know you were dealing drugs when you were like in 8th grade. You were selling speed pills. But you had one issue. That you ignored the number one drug dealer rule of all times, which says don't get high on your own supply. I think Ice Cube said that. And so NWA, or Ice Cube Easy, he said something like that, like don't get high on your own supply. You know what I mean? Yeah. So take us on your early childhood and all the craziness that you went through. I know you went to jail. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So, if you rewind till probably, let's talk about the ages of, let's say 5, because I don't really remember much before that, till 13. The words that were associated with my last name were all negative characteristics, right? Whether it was anger, whether it was addiction, whether it was poor, all these words, but it had nothing to do with me. It had a lot to do with my family. Now, Sam, don't get it twisted. These are great people who made bad decisions. Yeah. And I think we all know people like that. I think we all actually were those people at some point, right, in our life. And they just made these bad decisions. And unfortunately, I looked at that and I didn't think anything different of it. But what I was trying to do as I was growing up, and I actually didn't realize this till I was speaking on stage probably about a year ago, and it really hit me, was that I was trying to find acceptance everywhere. So like I was hanging out with the group of kids that were, all into music, and then into the jocks. And I was hanging out with the kids who were all about like WWF wrestling. And then I was into all the different groups. And mainly because I was trying to just create this acceptance in my life where I felt like I was loved. But the issue came down to is no matter where I stepped into, no one truly knew who I was because I didn't even know who I was. But then I got into drugs. Like you said, in 8th grade, I found some speed pills and started selling that. And speed led to weed, and then led to cocaine. And I started getting high on my own supply. I always said I was never going to do cocaine. And I remember the day. I remember where I was. Like my dealer hit me up and was like, "Hey, man, I'm leaving for 3 weeks. Either you get the cocaine, you get the white, or you don't make money for the next 3 weeks." And I was like, and I hung up on him. I called him right back and I got it. And I said, I'll never do it. 2 hours later, I became an addict to coke, right? Like as soon as I got that hit. But, everything leading up to jail before that, I think was a huge moment of my life because I was still trying to find that acceptance. And I got it. Like I finally got the acceptance. I was the fighter, right? I was the drug dealer, right? I was like, hey, you want to have a good time hanging out with John Marrone? Like I was that guy. And I was excited to take that identity on that was given to me by everybody else because I could walk in it, right? I was good at it, right? I was good at it. And I knew how to elevate every single area of my life to make people see me even, as a bigger fighter, as a bigger dealer. But the problem came down to was it didn't really make me happy. What made me happy was the acceptance.
So you said, so you were that drug dealer partier. You deal drugs and party with them. You probably people bought shit from you, and you're like, hey, fuck, I'll take one. I'll party with you. Hang out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean that. And then you said the fighter. What do you mean the fighter? As in fighting? Like fighting. So how did that come by? How did you get into fighting?
Hurt people, and I was struggling with a lot of different things in my life. And I found releasing the pain on other people physically, and it wasn't in a ring. This was streets. I found that to bring me joy, but I found the the excitement other people got crazy enough of watching me fight somebody and then lifting me up in a not real way, but lift me up like, oh my God, yeah,
You
man.
fucked
Like,
him up, bro. Damn,
yeah, yeah. And then, I'm getting like cheering ovations, and I got that acceptance through physical pain I put on people. And unfortunately, it was because of that is why I ended up in jail. It wasn't even the drugs. It was I got into a bar fight, and I would always try to find a fight. I was always trying to find a fight because I knew, Sam, if I could find a fight.
This is you're in Jersey?
Jersey, yeah.
Oh, dude, Jersey is like the world capital of bar fights. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like,
Bro.
I'm from Pennsylvania, you know what I mean? Like, there was not one time that I didn't go to a bar or a club that at the end of the night, there was always some shit going down. So I can totally see in Jersey, there's a bar fight. It's easy to find a bar fight.
Yeah, it was simple, right? Like, so when I served 6 months, I was supposed to serve 5 to 10 years because it was aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because I had a cast on my arm, not my hand, but my arm, and I hit him, and because of the weight on my arm, bad damage happened. But the worst part is I had a cast on my arm from a fight before. So it's like, if you connect the dots looking back, it all makes sense. When I went to jail, I was couch hopping beforehand. My parents were living in a motel, and I was pretty lost, man. Like I said, I had this acceptance from everybody else on he's the fighter, he's the drug dealer, but I didn't accept myself. Like, I just knew how to be that person that they wanted, not to be the person I wanted, because I didn't even know what that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And so went to jail, came out, and got put on house arrest. And that's a whole nother story of where I was living during house arrest. That's like another 6-hour podcast. Living in a motel after that, not a hotel, a motel. I met my now wife, and who really showed me what true love is. And she accepted me for all my flaws. And she wanted me to get better.
You're like me, man. You're like me. Your wife is a lot better looking than you.
Yep,
you know what I mean?
way better. Way better. That's how we got to do it, man.
We're upgraded, brother. We're upgraded.
And so, her and I, we struggled a lot. We taking our coins that were under our bed from, in a shoebox to go do laundry. It was rough, man. And I remember I met this gentleman named Pat Necarato, a great Christian man. And he had told me, hey, man, I can show you how to make a lot of money and how you can help others make a lot of money through a sales and marketing firm. And he said, I just need 2 things from you. I need you, A, to change the way you're living, because what you're doing right now is not the life you're supposed to live. There's more for you out there. You got to make some changes. And I said, all right, let's do it. And then B, I want you to add value to other people, the value I give you. And I said, sure. But man, I was so selfish. I said yes because of one thing, income.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the impact. I didn't care about that.
You were trying to survive. You were trying to survive at that moment.
That's it, man. Like, I was trying to survive. And when you lead income first, and when we'll get to this in a second, when you lead income first, man, like, you're never going to be truly happy.
So I'm so glad you say that. Here's what I always tell people, like, when you are, drowning, you're in debt, you're homeless, or your house is being foreclosed on, or you're getting evicted, and your family is in jeopardy, you're in a fight or flight mode. You can't think about impact. There's no, nobody that's drowning and about to die is thinking about how I'm going to impact. What they're thinking about is their next breath. How am I not going to die? How am I going to be able to come up for air? I've been in those situations, and I was thinking about income because, I needed to be able to breathe, and once I was able to breathe, I'm like, well, fuck, this is not what I want to do. Is that what happened to you?
Yeah. And it's funny you talk about not being able to breathe and then not thinking about impact. So, I got a lot of lessons learned from Pat, and we made some strides, but the real change came October 28th, 2012. And we lived on the Jersey Shore, and Hurricane Sandy paid us a visit.
Yeah.
With Hurricane Sandy,
man.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy paid us a visit. And, it was about 7:00 at night. I had my family in. They were living in a motel closer to the water, but I lived on a barrier islands, right? So I'm surrounded by water. but I have everybody sitting in the house.
You're a big
Go
baller
outside.
now. You're starting to make money. You're a big baller right there,
Bro,
right?
look, I'm such a big baller. I went from a 500 square foot apartment to a 700 square foot home. Okay, like I'm balling right now.
Hey, at that time, I've been there, bro. I've been
Woo.
there. When you leave in a shitty apartment and you go to a nice apartment, you're balling. I've done that before, bro. I went from a shitty apartment in Hacienda Heights to an apartment who had a little patio. I had a patio. I fucking had to put a barbecue on it. I bought a barbecue. I was grilling. I thought I was like, I had this like massive yard, man. I had a little patio barbecue. I get you, bro. I went here.
Yeah. And so I got brand new furniture, right? Like and I just moved into the house October like 12th or something like that. And October 20th is when it hit. So I bought all brand new furniture. And so we went outside and like, it was windy, but there was no rain or anything. So we go back inside, we're playing Monopoly. And that's kind of when it all shifted. And it kind of sped up really fast because I heard this trickle. And as I look, it was crazy, man. We were just outside and all of a sudden this water is starting to come through and trickling into my living room. And so I got up and I walked down. As I opened the door, I look outside and it's just water 4 feet high, roaring rapids, boat docks. Things are flipped over. I mean, it is crazy. And my first instinct is this: put up the furniture, right? Like that's my first thought. Like, God save my family.
Your mom and dad about to drown. You can't buy your furniture.
Yeah. I have my 2 pit bulls. I got my mom, my dad, my soon-to-be wife. And I'm like, put up the furniture because selfish John Marrone was still there, right?
Bro, it's weird you say that. There was a time that I bought a brand new M3. That was my dream car. The first time I got my dream car, I went somewhere and, my, ex-wife, girlfriend at the time, she took it and there was like a little scratch on it. Bro, I broke up with her. I broke up with her because she scratched my car, bro. Like, that's how fucked up I was in the head. No wonder that marriage didn't last. You know what I mean? So I get you, bro. I get you. Like, we speak the same.
I love that. And so it was funny though. I mean, so we're sitting there, I'm talking about like the water crushes the foundation and starts like filling into the house. My dad's sitting there with a mop bucket, shoveling it out and throwing it out the window. Yeah. And he thinks it's a good idea. And so do I, until about 20 seconds kicks in. And I'm like, you're throwing it outside the window and it's just coming right. Like, what are we doing here?
You ain't going to out shovel the storm, bro.
No, absolutely not. So I get everybody upstairs into the attic, and it's a 1-level house. And we have the ladder down of the attic. And all of a sudden, man, I'm freezing, right? Because I put the furniture up, of course. And I'm freezing because I'm soaking wet. It's October in Jersey. And the water started rising rung by rung. And if that wasn't bad enough, all of a sudden you hear thump, thump. The tree starts hitting the roof. The water's rising. And it's like compression came over me, and I'm looking back at my family. My dogs are back there. My wife, well, now wife, my girlfriend at the time was back there. My mom, my dad. And I said it, man. This is where all like a big shift happened, but it wasn't a major shift. I said, what kind of impact have I made? Like I came through this world like a tumbleweed, right? Like they saw me and then I left. And like I didn't create any kind of impact, no footprint. And I said, okay, if I get out of here, I'm going to create some kind of impact. I'm going to change the legacy of my last name while helping others do the same for their family. And so we got rescued, and we got rescued in a front loader. I mean, it was a crazy rescue story as well. But the biggest aha, brother, didn't come.
You didn't make an impact in this world. You didn't make but you were about to die. You're like, I didn't do shit. I didn't put a dent in the world. I came in and gone. I was a decaying matter. Nothing, I get it.
Yeah. It's almost like I just saw actually a post I posted the other day, or posted like 2 years ago about like, why do we exist? And I felt like in the moment I existed for no real reason, but to just be there. But when I was sitting in a shelter, I said, okay, I'm gonna change. Right? I'm gonna be a better man. I'm gonna be a better person. I'm gonna be a better leader. I'm gonna be better at all these things. But dude, I don't know how. And that was it. Like saying I don't know what I don't know was my biggest opportunity to grow, because I have such a high ego at that time in my life, right? I was so selfish that I thought I knew everything. I was so stubborn. I thought I knew everything. When I stripped it all away and I put the ego aside and said, I'm ready to learn. Like, I'm going to learn today, right? Like, I'm ready. That's when it all changed. And I just really have dedicated my life to being better today than I was yesterday, and finding out the key ingredients, the tools, the strategies in every equity of life to just go ahead and as your podcast goes, get 1% better every single day in every area. And that's going to compound into the person I need to become to get the success I want.
So once you got that aha moment, you were like, literally in a life or death situation. You said, look, man, I didn't matter. I didn't really do anything. What after that shifted? What did you do after that? Did you go back to work for the marketing company? What led for you to become who you are today and the entrepreneur that you are right now, and you putting impact now over everything else?
That's such a great question because it didn't happen immediately. Even though I had that big aha shift, it wasn't like, all right, I'm rich the next day, right? It wasn't like I had it all together. It was, I went back for about 9 months or so, and I had my own contracting company that obviously was gone now because of the hurricane. And I was still working at that time for the marketing and sales company. And what I started to do, instead of taking these small baby steps into personal development, I made these ginormous strides. I became obsessed, man. I became addicted in a different way. And that's where a lot of things that come from, I think we're all addicted to certain things in our life, right? Whether it's sex, whether it's TV, whether it's food, whether it's drugs. When people talk about addiction, they talk about it in such a somber and bad thing, but that's all perspective.
And this is a great thing if it's in the right vehicle, right?
Absolutely.
Grant talks about it. Grant talks about it too. I tell you right now, man, I have an addictive personality. And thank God that I channeled it the right way. I channeled it the right way because, I channeled it to the gym and I channeled it to, self-improvement. But I could have been very easily been into drugs and alcohol and all kinds of stuff. What I'm proud of you the most is that you had an addiction, a bad addiction, and you transferred it into a good addiction. And here's, I don't know if you know this, this is something that I learned throughout my career as a personal trainer. I had a lady come to our facility, John. She was the perfect American apple pie grandmother. Perfect American apple pie grandmother. Like this grandmother figure that was I'm like, this lady can't do anything wrong. Right? She, like you would never think about she even like, even run a stop sign. That's how perfect she was. Then all of a sudden, she wasn't coming to the gym. She signed up for personal training and she didn't come to the gym. And I was like, what? So I asked her friend, I'm like, where's she at? She goes, I can't tell you, but she will tell you when she comes back. I go, what? Is she okay? What the fuck? I'm like, now I'm curious, right? So after like 6 months, she comes back, and I come to find out, I started talking to her. I'm like, dude, what happened? Why'd you go disappear? So, she was overweight. She was coming to the gym and she went and got the lap band surgery. So now she can't eat. Addiction was food, right? And now that she couldn't eat food, right? Her addiction transferred to something else, which was alcohol. So the perfect American grandmother, all of a sudden, became an alcoholic, got a DUI. You know what I mean? So there's something called addiction transfer, whether it's forced by, so you can transfer your addiction. So like you said, addictive personality is a great thing if it's channeled the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it took me so long, right? Like it took me so long to figure that out. And it took me to like a rock bottom place. And there were so many like little rock bottoms, but people are like, man, like, I don't know if I'm at rock bottom yet. Choose today to be rock bottom. Like, why are you waiting for rock bottom? Because Sam and I could both sit here and tell you, we know a lot of people that hit it and never came back up. So why are you waiting for that, right? Use today as the lowest you'll ever go and use this as the platform, no matter where you're at in your life. And so when I shifted and I transferred that addiction, I did it strategically, bro, because I didn't want to do it just for my personal development. I also want to do it for my relationships, and I wanted to do it in my health, and I wanted to do it in every area because we're made up of these 6 areas of life. And so people want this balanced life, which is impossible, but I believe there's an integration that we can create. And that integration is being addicted to every moment, being addicted to what we're doing. Now, do I win every day? Absolutely not. But my intention is backed by the action. And that's where people, this I'm going to go on a tangent real quick because people have this.
Preach, brother, preach.
These people have this like, hey, man, but, my intentions were good. I intended to be a better father. I intended to be a better leader. Like, fuck your intentions without actions. It's useless. It's a waste of space, and I cannot deal with it because I was that person who had great intention with no action. And I'm telling you right here what it's doing for you. It's taking so much more energy, and you're disappointing way more people than if you took the action and fucking failed. So do yourself a favor, intention with action. And that's how I took my addiction, and I did it for every area of life. And every day I'm figuring out how I could tweak it, because we're human becomings. We're not human beings.
I don't have a mic, but you can drop the mic, your own mic, don't want this bad. But I hate intention. Intention is a fucking excuse. Mm-hmm. Intention is a fucking excuse. Don't go, I had the intention. No, that's it. You had the intention. If you didn't do it, that's a fuking excuse. You use the intention as an excuse. So I have excutitis. I'm allergic to this fucking, people. When I hear it, it's something that can become an excuse. I just have to fucking vomit and walk away. You know what I mean? So you either have, you either put it in action or you shut the fuck up and don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I had the intention, man. Fuck you, man.
And what it comes down to is that intentional implementation. And then I put in another word in there, and I talk about intense intention, right? Intense intention implementation. It's crazy tongue twister, but some of us are taking action in the wrong way. And I saw a post the other day you posted, and actually did a podcast about this as well. Busy versus productive. Yeah. Right? Like you could be busy as hell, but it doesn't mean it's the right action. So you got to be intentional with it. Right? And then you got to take massive, as GC talks about that 10x action, like that has to be there. And my addiction does that, right? My addiction helps me with that. Why is it all of a sudden, like when I had no money, brother, I could still find drugs. When I had no money, I can still find a pack of cigarettes, right? But yet these fools are out here telling me that they can't be resourceful. Well, create this addiction to say how bad you want it. I wanted it so bad, I was resourceful as hell. So when you tell me that you can't do something, it's because you don't want it bad enough to create the resourcefulness that you need to get there.
It's so true, man. Hey, so like I never did any drugs up until after I graduated. I went through college. I was a nerd. This, that. But when I graduated, my best friend, we were all bodybuilders. You know what I mean? And all of our bodybuilders, we did juice and everything. We were competing at the higher level. But then when I started hanging around with these bodybuilders, which I idolized. From when I was in Pennsylvania, man, I was idolizing these bodybuilders in California. Next thing you know, I'm best friends with them. People I seen on cover of magazines. Now I'm like hanging out with them. They're like, come party with us. I'm partying with them. Then I found out that bodybuilders not only do steroids, but they also do, drugs because they don't want to drink. They don't want to drink. They don't want the calories. They want to get high. They want to get fucked up, calorie free, and next thing you know, I started, doing some of this stuff because I was just like with my idols, so-called idols, I'm like hanging out, and I experimented with, some drugs and stuff like that, mainly, ecstasy. And, I did coke a couple of times, but out of all the drugs that you did and what this and that, just not that, which one was the one that be like, okay, man, this is actually pretty good.
So, and I never touched a needle. Like you would not believe that. Look at my tattoos, but I am definitely afraid of needles. Right? Like if you put me in a chair and I gotta get blood work, like you better not have any kids around because there's gonna be every curse word you could think of and shit I'm gonna make up. I'm probably gonna hurt somebody. So it was the cocaine. That was really the thing that got me. And it was always the first hour that got me, and the rest of the day usually sucked. Right, the coming down, all the other stuff. Those listening probably know what I'm talking about. And so that was definitely the big one. It was fun. I used to do a lot of mushrooms. I used to do, acid and e-pills and everything. They all have their great moments when you're taking them. But when you look back at it, was it worth it? I think I needed to go through that experimental stage. I just took it way too far. And I think that was the difference, right? Like you talked about, you went through an experimental stage. You didn't get crazy into it, but you're doing dipping here, dipping there. I think it was needed for me to figure out those things. I just, with my personality, I just went to the next level. I'm an intense dude.
I think I heard somewhere you saying on a podcast, life happens because of you, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Bradley and I were going back and forth about this. So life happens because of you, right? And I believe life happens for you in a lot of circumstances. But the end result, bro, is it happens because of you. Like I ended up in jail because of me. I think the universe did it for me, but it was because of me. I changed my life around because of me. Hurricane Sandy happened maybe for me, but it's because of me on why everything has changed. So the good, the bad, the ugly, like if you take into consideration that it starts and ends with you, and no matter what the universe is throwing your way, whatever circumstances are out there, that it's happening because of you. The next step is because of you. How you act afterwards, how you create a system or a strategy or whatever it might be from the circumstances you have is all because of you. So to stop at the moment of saying life happens for me and then let everything just kind of go, that's not going to create the results you want. Like, I'm a believer, as I said, life's happening for me, but man, like it doesn't end there. It's happening because of me. Everything I'm doing is because of me. The failures, the successes, the fuck ups, the experiences. It's all because of me.
Well, I know right now, man, you are making an impact, man. You have, you got a lot of speaking engagement. You have a crazy story. I know you, I'm having a retreat, coming up here pretty soon in May. And I know it's probably sold out, but you probably have to move because of all the crazy crap that's going on while I'm interviewing right now. For those of you guys who, I don't know what time this interview will go live, but, right now we're in the middle of quarantine. Right now is, what is it, the 25th of March, so everything's shut down. Yeah. I know you're doing retreats. Let's talk about these retreats, because I love retreats. What is this retreats all about? What are you doing these retreats?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And our retreats are a very intimate setting, right? So it's not a big conference. It's at a beautiful home that overlooks the Gulf of Mexico and a white sandy beaches here in Destin, Florida, which if you've never been, you got to come check it out. If not for my retreat, for your own sanity, because it's beautiful. But really, we really get super, super deep into the shit that's been holding us back our entire life, right? The stories that we tell ourselves that have cultivated into this false limited belief that's been truly suffocating our chances of success and happiness and fulfillment. And we do that through many different ways, right? And Julian Rosen, who's a great friend of mine, he's also a coach. Him and I walk these amazing 40 people through the process of truly going back and figuring out, like, what is it? Like, let's really face this event that's been holding you back, this thought, this person. And we go through this process. That's the first step. And then we get super deep into understanding our why, right? Whether it's a momentary why, whether it's a deep rooted why, because I'm a big believer, man, that without a strong why, our consistency will die.
100%, bro. 100%. I always say my quote is, if you why don't make you cry, it's not strong enough.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, you have to have that emotion behind it, because when all the motivation fails, where all the, things fails, when there's times that you're down, if there's that emotion is not there to light your ass up, what I mean? You ain't going nowhere. So when somebody says, well, my why is, man, I want to get a Ferrari. I want to get that. Nah, man, that ain't your why. That ain't your why, man. You got to go deeper. You got to go deep. You got to go so deep, in your past, in everything that your beliefs, you got to go, and that takes some time. You can't just, oh, my why is this. You can't just come up with your why, man.
Your first why is always your first why is always a lie. And let me tell you, let me tell you why though.
Why is always a lie. I got to use that.
And it's super surface, and there's a reason behind it though. Our minds don't want to feel the biggest fear, and when the biggest fear is disappointment.
Yeah, that's
the biggest fear. It's not rejection. Rejection creates disappointment, right? Our biggest fear is disappointment, and knowing that I'm going to tell you, hey, Sam, my why is my kid, right? Like that right there is not deep enough for me when I fail, if all the things just crumble around me, and for me to not take the action or take the action, it's not deep enough. And the reason why is because we don't want to feel that disappointment. I don't want to disappoint my daughter, right? And so if I just say it's my daughter, versus I want to go ahead and create a life and opportunities for my daughter that I never had, so that when she wakes up every morning, she knows she has the opportunity to dig for her greatness and overcome any adversity. And so when I think about that, it's like, okay, my actions are way stronger. So our surface why, our first why is always a lie, is because we don't want to feel the emotion of disappointment. And you're right, man, about emotion. So our action is created off of our emotion, but of our emotion is created off of our thoughts.
Yeah.
But our thoughts, this is where most people screw up, are created off the conversations we have with ourselves.
It's one of the, I don't know if you read this book, John, or not. This book is life-changing. It changed my life. And I always, anybody that I'm coaching and I'm talking to, that struggles with this, it's called what to say to yourself when you talk to yourself. and is by a guy, a PhD, Chad Hamster. If you haven't read that book, it's fascinating. It is fascinating, man. And that book literally changed my thoughts about the conversation that I have in myself and how I'm going to have conversation with myself. And, it's so good that it's so funny. I'm going to read it again this year. I'm going to read it again. And it's one of those books that you got to repurpose every so often to be able to do that. But that's so important for our thoughts and the conversation that we have for ourselves of who we become. And I always say, for you to be able to get, gain self-confidence, for you to be able to get to what you want to do, is you have to start coming through with the promises that you make to yourself. A lot of people, they take things lightly, so for example, if you say, oh, well, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym at 4:00, I'm going to work out at 4:00, and something comes up. Oh, well, I'm not going to make it at 4:00. You know what, dude? That's a negative towards your self-esteem, your self-worth. For me, I'll learn that I don't care what comes up. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I don't care. I have to go there from the emergency room. I'm going to be there. You know what I mean? And that's how, people are like, Sam, you're pretty confident, man. I'm like, Sam, you're only 5'5", but you like, you walk like you're 7 foot, because I've learned not to go back on the promises that I made to myself. I've learned to be able to say, okay, if I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to do tomorrow, then here's what I'm going to do tomorrow, no matter what kind of circumstances, no matter whatever thing. And that's how, my 5'5" stature sometimes comes in at 7 foot or 6'8".
and I mean, there's so much gold right there. I want to split this into three things real quick.
Yes.
The most impactful conversation that we could have, everybody listening, it's not with your mom, it's not with your dad, not with your wife, not with your husband, not with your kids, not with your clients, it's with yourself. Because the conversation you have with yourself will dictate how the conversations go. They'll influence a lot better how the conversations go with everybody else around you. So as Sam talked about, the most impactful conversations are one you have with yourself. Because if you have the right conversation, you create the right thought that creates a better, more empowering, more encouraging emotion that drives a bigger action that gets you to the results you want. So that's number one. Number two, you talked about going ahead and hey, man, if I say I'm going to be there for, I'll be there for. And then people are coming up with excuses. There's so many of people out there right now that are allowing their circumstances to dictate their habits. And that needs to stop, because your habits dictate your future. And so no matter what the circumstances are externally, you have to keep those promises to yourself. And if you are somebody listening right now and you're a big believer of like, man, I'm a man of my word, I'm a woman of my word. If I say I'm going to do it for you, Sam, I'm going to do it for you, right? If you ask people, Sam, you told me you're going to do this, please make sure you do it, because I really respect people and I only want to work with people that are, men of their word or a woman that stands by her word. But yet you won't keep the promises or keep the word to yourself and you're asking others to do it for you. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to keep the promises to yourself. Stay committed to your commitments, right? And success is simple, man. It's doing the shit that you don't want to do when you know you need to do it. Plain and simple. Motivation's super temporary. Inspiration lasts a little bit longer. But discipline and reason will win every time.
Yeah, even discipline sometimes, man, fades off, man. You can only be so stubborn, so disciplined, man. But the reason, the why, the emotion, it's that's what's going to take you, man. I'm one of the most disciplined persons that I know. I still get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. My wife gets pissed off. I'm still working out upstairs, waking her ass up. I'm going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm disciplined, but even some of those days I get up, I'm like, fuck, man, like, I don't really want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. But then when I think about why I'm doing it, and then I get pissed off, I start having tears in my eyes. Like, fuck this. Let's do this, man. Let's do it.
But here it is, though, man. You're disciplined to your thought awareness. You're disciplined to the self-talk. So your discipline is just in that aspect. So you're very strong at being disciplined as well as I am. I'm not disciplined where, like, I did not want to wake up and do my circuits today outside. I did not. I just wanted to chill. The bed was cozy. But I had to be disciplined in my self-awareness and my thoughts and knowing that everything I do matters to more people than just me. And that's why we have the retreat. Like, we get super deep, but we give actionable, tangible things, applicable things to help people overcome the feeling of overwhelmed, to create a strategy around how to be more productive, how to create stronger, more empowering fire in their relationship, and how to rip off all the old labels, right? And that people have given them, and create this new label that they want to walk in on a daily basis. And that's what we do at our retreats. And it's just an amazing, intimate setting. Man, I cried for 2 days afterwards. My wife is like, all right, we get it. You know, touch some lives. Like, but you don't get it. She's like, you need to stop crying.
So for people that want to experience that kind of retreat, it sounds amazing. You know, white sandy beaches, you you just going deep in your limiting self-beliefs, because all of us have that. You know, it all stems from childhood and all the memories that you had. You know, be able to break past that so you can have those breakthroughs. If somebody's interested in your next retreat, I know this one is sold out, but the next one, where do they go sign up?
Yeah, so it's just johnmarrone.com/retreat. So John Marrone, MARRONE/retreat. Definitely go ahead and take a look at it. As we talked about before, we're possibly going to be postponing this depending on what's happening. And with that postponement may come some empty seats because maybe people can't make it. I'm thinking about possibly doing it in September or so if we can't do it in May. But the best thing they could do is go ahead and go to that website, or shoot me a message, john@johnmarrone.com or @realjohnmarrone on Instagram, and we could chop it up. I can kind of see where they're at and see what's a good fit, whether it's the retreat or coaching or whatever is going to be a better fit for that person at the time of their life, and where they're going to take action. Because one thing I don't accept is anybody to come to my retreats, anybody to come into our coaching programs, if you're not ready to go ahead and be vulnerable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and take that massive action that's needed to get you to where you need to go.
Yeah, you got to be vulnerable, man. You can't go there with an ego, and you got to go over there with a wall up. You got to be able to be totally transparent, let your guards down. You know, we all fucked up. We all got a story. You're not going in there by you going into a retreat that's supposed to get you out of your self-limiting belief. You can't have a shield up. You know what I mean? No. You can't have a shield up. You got to just go over there with total vulnerability, and be able to be real, to be able to get help.
Yeah, and the coolest part about that is money's the side effect, right? People are like, oh, how much, how are you going to show me how to make more money? Well, money's a side effect to your character. Money's a side effect to your habits. And so everything we show you will show you how to make more money. I promise you. And if you don't believe me, look at the testimonials. We got people making way more money than they made last year, having a way better relationship, integration, all nine.
Bro, if you don't fix yourself first, you ain't, I'm not saying you ain't going to make money, but you're going to implode if you make money.
Absolutely. There it is.
Until you're like, you can have all this self-limiting beliefs and figure out a way and come up with a scheme to make money. Yeah, absolutely. That can happen. But if your foundation is not set, if you're not right within your own mind, all that money is going to go. I've been there, bro. I fucked up. I messed up. I made money where my foundation was there. I blew it through it all. I messed it up because my mind wasn't right. Now you had all this different beliefs. So I love what you said. The side effect is money. So love it.
We all know people, man, that have had great success, made a lot of money, and then all of a sudden lost it all. And there's one key component in that, right? There's probably a few things, but there's one key component. And that's they didn't become the person that they needed to become in order to sustain that success. Some can break the cycle and get there, but not all. Mostly none of them can actually stay there because it's the person that you become along that way. And that's why I talk about in coaching. Like, I'm going to show you where you're at and where you need to go, but most importantly, of who you are and who you need to become to go ahead and create the success that you want. And the instant gratification world we live in, it's hard to preach that to a lot of people. And anybody listening right now, instant gratification creates long-term regret. And you're either walking in the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Now, the issue with the pain of regret is you don't feel it till it's too late. You don't feel it till you're 20 pounds overweight. You don't feel it till you're locked up in jail. You don't feel it till your business is crumbling. So right now, there's a good chance you're walking into pain of regret, but you are not aware of it because you don't feel it till the after effect. And by that time, it's usually too late or it's so much harder to go back. So I ask you, will you walk into pain of discipline or the pain of regret? And it has to be every day.
So good. I want you to say the gratification line one more time because I was trying to get it all in. You
Yeah.
dropped so many nuggets there, but I always talk about, instant gratification and the key to success in life is to be able
Yeah.
to overcome instant gratification. So what was your quote? You said something that I need to I wanted to go be here, but I didn't get it the first time. I want to make sure I read it. I hear it again.
Yeah. Absolutely. So instant gratification creates long-term regret.
Love
Gotta
it.
fall in love with the process,
Love it.
right? We have to.
It's so true though. It's so true. It's so true. You always regret all the instant gratification choices that you made, whether it was drugs, whether it was, unfounded spending, whether it was, sleeping with a guy or a girl. You're always like, man, I made that mistake. So, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much in this 45 minutes, man, you dropped nuggets after nuggets after nuggets. For people, again, I know you said it before, but for people who are wanting to know more about you, John, more about, what you offer, tell them where to go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you can go ahead and find me on all social media platforms at Real John Marrone. Once again, at Real John Marrone. My YouTube, just look up John Marrone.
Real John Marrone.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some fake John Marrones out there. I know a few of them. So it's at Real John Marrone. YouTube, just look up John Marrone. Also, you can go ahead to my website, johnmarrone.com. We got some coaching platforms that may be a good fit for you. My podcast, which I had you on, and you obviously brought the fire. Power of Progression. It's Power of Progression on all platforms. You can check us out. We've had Trent Shelton on, obviously Sam on. We've had Cole and Sonia on. We had Heath Evans. I mean, you name it, we've had them on, some phenomenal people, but most important that on our show, we help really show the story behind the glory, and that's Power of Progression. But, if anybody needs me, if you hit me up on IG, just go ahead and send me a message. I answer all my messages directly. And so I would just love to be able to connect, hear your story, and really hear what some of your takeaways were, but how I could add value and serve you and your family.
Brother, man, I genuinely feel, how genuine you are, and, that you want to help the world and make the impact. We're truly an honor to have you on the show, brother. Let's stay in touch, and good luck to you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you and everything you do. And once again, thank you for the platform and providing the value that you provide on all levels, on all platforms. People who are truly listening to you and taking action, you're changing their life, brother, mine included.
Appreciate it, brother. Take care. Thank you.
Hey guys, if you liked today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.